Hello there guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's Question Time, episode 15, and you've not let me down this week once again with all the questions you sent in, and I've actually had about 8 or 9 questions sent in, so I'm going to obviously have to split these up. The past few weeks you've literally just sent enough in for me to do one, but yeah, you've sent more than ever this week guys, so thank you so much for that. So I'll just say from the start now, so XXJoeyLad XX, Steve on Twitter and Tom Roach, I will be answering your questions next week, obviously along with some new ones that people send in. But yeah, it was just hard to choose for everything. But yeah, I haven't forgotten about your questions, guys. So I will be answering them next week. And that goes, the same for everyone. The same for everyone else. If I ever don't answer a question, I will be answering it the week after, or quite a lot for this episode actually. 2 separate people have sent in questions that I have actually already answered before. So if that ever does happen, I'll never ignore you. I will always sort of comment back or messaging you back, sort of saying that I have answered it before, and I'll just ask you if you got another question. So yeah, I'll never ignore people with this, and I never forget about questions or anything, because I do write them all down. So yeah, if people do want to contribute in future episodes, then please do leave them in the comment section on any of the Question Time videos, just so it's easy for me to keep track of, or you can do it at Twitter, but just make sure you put the hashtag Jonesy's Question at the end of it, again just so it's easier for me to keep track of. So let's get straight into it, shall we? And let's go for my good friend Tom Lawson, who actually does the channel art for me, and he's asked me who are your main YouTube influences. So I think through different questions, I've kind of mentioned these once or twice before, but I've never kind of spoken specifically about it. So I kind of have different influences, in different aspects of it. I would kind of say my main and overall influence would have to be Nerdcubed, in the fact that it was because of him that I started doing YouTube. But more specifically in the kind of gaming side of things, I would say I don't follow, because I would like to think that the stuff I do is, a bit more individual to me. It's my own content, but you can definitely see aspects of kind of Nerdcube's certainly comedic style in some of my edited gameplay videos, kind of. I'm thinking back to Rogue Warrior, Hotline Miami, that kind of thing, that fast-paced, quick edited kind of gaming style video. I definitely get that from Nerdcube's kind of play series, especially in the Rogue Warrior video, I would say. So yeah, kind of the gaming editing style I definitely take from him. Again, elsewhere in gaming influences, I would say Hat Films, and more in wanting to do the podcasts in Bartat, and the one I started doing on my channel, kind of listening to their Hat Chat podcast and everything, kind of got me more interested in talking about my interests and gaming and everything. So yeah, definitely take some influence from them guys. I mean, I absolutely love Hat Films at the moment. They are kind of quickly becoming my most favourite kind of YouTube channel to watch. And then on the sort of personal side, so like, the whole diaries and the vlogs and me, talking to camera, I would say I take a lot of influence from Martin in the Littlewood. I first watched him doing his vlogs and stuff before he moved out of his house and finally moved in with Kai about 2 years ago, and he used to just kind of walk around his old room, his flat, and just talking to the camera all day, and that was kind of the first time I'd seen anyone do that. So that's kind of where it planted to see for me doing my daily diary, especially once he started doing it more on his In the Little Dream channel. Still gutted that they're split up. I can't believe it. I really can't. So yeah, from that side of things, I get influence from him, and also Emma Blackery in that aspect. Again, a lot in the editing style of the tag videos and stuff like that, and doing Bean Boozled challenges and things like that. I definitely get all that side of things from watching Emma Blackery and the kind of stuff that she's done, and a lot of the projects that I've got coming up and kind of ideas for sketches in the future, I would definitely get from those kind of people, again especially from the editing style. So yeah, those are my main YouTube influences. I mean, I watch so much on YouTube, but those are the people that I feel I've taken little bits from to kind of help along my progression on YouTube, I would say. So yeah, I mean, I have so many other influences. I mean, a lot of the, there's a different side to it with the comedy, that comes across in my videos, but that's a separate question for another time, I suppose. So thank you very much, Tom, for your question there, pal. Let's move on to a sporting question. What have I got this week? Harry Simpson has asked a very good question. Do you think football fans in this country are being priced out or not prioritised in any way? Yeah, certainly. I would definitely say that, Harry. I mean, when I look back at when I first started, going to matches and watching Leeds United back sort of 96, 97, I really should have done some research on this, but I mean, ticket prices then, I mean, I have no idea what they would have been, but I imagine they're a lot cheaper than what they are now. I mean, I just paid for my ticket to the Burnley game the other day. It's a lunchtime kick-off. It's on telly. First game of the season, and £32. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. I mean, nowadays, if you're a family and you're wanting to go to a football game as a family, so say for 2 adults, 2 kids, you've got travel costs on that, possible food and drink when you're there at the game, buying a programme. I mean, you can be paying up to maybe £200 just to go to a football match. And for me, it's just getting out of hand. And I mean, I think a lot of fans are really starting to fight back, against it. There's a whole against modern football movement. You're seeing a lot more kind of protests at games and a lot of banners flying around. I mean, in the Premier League, you can be paying up to £60, £70, £80 for a ticket to a football game. I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you can pay to go watch, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour theatre performance or a comedy show. And you can, depending on what you go see, you can be paying, £15 to £20. Yet to go watch 90 minutes of, what can sometimes be a very, very dull match, you're paying up to £40, £50, and it's getting out of hand. I mean, you look at Sheffield Wednesday, they've just released their prices. They've got something like 7 or 8 different categories of matches, of games. And for the top price one, which is the class as an A-star game, you're paying like £57, and that's for Championship, standard football. So yeah, I definitely think a lot of football fans, what you would class as your average football fan, kind of a working class fan who, back in the day, all they have to look forward to at the end of the week is going to the football. A lot of those can't make it to football matches anymore and can't follow their beloved clubs around the country. So yeah, I certainly don't think that football clubs, the Premier League or the Football League, are helping out fans in any way, shape or form. And something does need to be done about it, because the way it's going, when you look at the amount of money that is in football these days and the amount that clubs are making off transfers, 49 million for Raheem Sterling the other day, and yet they still, have the cheek of charging football fans, £50+ for a ticket. It's ridiculous, and it is getting out of hand, and something really does need to be done about it. But you get the feeling that it isn't going to change, which is a shame, because you'll see attendances dropping dramatically, I think. I mean, you've already seen that, really, in a way. But you look at some football clubs that are doing the right thing. I think Bradford released season tickets this year for something like £150. So if a club like Bradford can manage to do that, I'm sure they'll be making money in other ways. But it can be done, and it can be affordable. But I don't know. It's a tough one to get into, Harry. But yeah, I definitely don't think that football fans are being looked after very well at this moment in time. So yeah, thank you very much for that question, Harry. Very, very good one to get into. Let's go to Russell Melford, who has simply kind of asked me about my family life, brothers, sisters, married, girlfriend, boyfriend, etc. Yeah, I've never really talked that much about my family on this in the whole time I've been here. So yeah, a quick rundown. I still live at home with the parents, with my mum and dad. I have one brother. Technically speaking, he's my half brother. He's from my dad's previous marriage, and he's a little bit older than me. Well, quite a bit older than me actually. He no longer lives with us. He's married. and he's got a son. Well, you've seen him on my channel, Mini Lucas. Mini Lucas? No, Mini Jonesy. Lucas is his actual name. He's a Mini Jonesy though. So yeah, he lives with his wife and my nephew Lucas. So that's all my brothers and sisters. I just have the one brother. I no longer have any grandparents. My last one died. It was my granddad back in 2011, 2012. Yeah, I think it was 2011 that my granddad died. So yeah, no longer have any grandparents. A few uncles and aunties here and there, but I don't really have a massive family. We have a hell of a lot of family friends and everything, and aunties that aren't really your aunties and uncles that aren't really your uncles, but they've just always been there in your life, and the borrowed your dad's orbital sander and everything, the whole Peter Kay joke. So yeah, it's not a massive family. I don't have any cousins or anything like that, so just a nice sort of little tight knit family kind of thing. As for girlfriends and everything, I am currently single. I've only really ever had one. Well, I have only ever had one major relationship, which ended in 2013. We were together for 6.5 years. We were actually engaged for quite a lot of that as well. And yeah, since then I've been in no relationships really. Well, for about a year after that breakup, I wasn't really too bothered, to be honest. I just kind of, I was in a very dark place sort of that year. Really, it was 2013 was certainly not a very good year for me. So yeah, I'm currently single, and yeah, that's pretty much my whole family kind of tree. No, it's not a family tree at all, but yeah, that's my family life, Russell, so thank you very much for that question there. Go back to a sporting question. James Mahoney has asked me, what is my favourite Leeds United song? Obviously, Marching On Together is a big one. I mean, it's just such a good song to say. Like, out of all the kind of football club anthems and everything, I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased, but for me, it's just very different, and it's got a lot of oomph to it and a lot of meaning. It's a good one to sing at football matches. A lot of other kind of club anthems, it'll get played before a match and at full time, but the fans don't tend to sing during, whereas March On Together is something that can just always be sung. So yeah, I do love March On Together. When I was younger, I think this must be a song from the early 90s or something. I can't remember if this is the name of it, but it's called Blue, Yellow and White. And it was, yeah, when I was younger, I had a Leeds United cassette tape. And basically on one side it had all the songs from the 60s and 70s that the squad actually sung, including like the original Marching On Together. And on the other side it had the more up-to-date ones, so again like from the early 90s, I believe. And yeah, there was this one called, I swear it was Blue, Yellow and White, or maybe a football in a Yorkshire Rose, something like that. But I just always had it on repeat as a youngster. I just absolutely loved that song. I mean, looking back, I suppose it's a bit of a cringe-worthy song, really. It's certainly not one that gets repeated at football matches, but that's always a good one. And again, a more traditional one, Glory, Glory, Leeds United. I really do love that one, and I love chanting it. Basically, all of the more traditional ones. I mean, I'm not a big fan of your modern-day chants at games like. I'm not a big fan of the all Leeds aren't we kind of thing. It does seem to be taking over as well. We seem to be singing that more than Marching On Together and more of the traditional songs. I mean, I'll never have anything against fans singing it, and at the end of the day, if you're creating an atmosphere and you're supporting your club, I don't really mind what you sing. But for me personally, I'm not really that into them, and a lot more of the modern chanting and stuff. There's not many words to it and stuff. So yeah, I'm more your traditional kind of guy when it comes to Leeds songs and chants. So yeah, those are just a few of them. So thank you very much, James, for that question. And let's finish on a question from Rated R Legend Killer 10 once again, who's gotten in touch and asked another brilliant question. What is your favourite movie of the last 20 years and why? And this is a very tough question, it really is, because, well, one, I'm not the biggest movie fan, I must admit. Especially nowadays. I used to watch a lot more in the past kind of than what I do now. I mean, when I first read this question, the first one that came to mind for me, and I think it just comes in that 20-year slot, would be Toy Story. The first Toy Story. Obviously as a kid, absolutely loved that film. But even now, I think Toy Story really is, although it is predominantly made for the kids, I think now as an adult you can still watch it and appreciate it and really enjoy it just as a fun movie. And I think there's little things in there that are put in there for the adults to enjoy and appreciate. So when I watched it as a kid, there's certain things I may not have understood properly, whereas when you watch it back again and as an adult, you think, yeah, that's been put in for the older audience. And I mean, all the sequels and everything to Toy Story. I mean, Toy Story 3 had me bloody bawling my eyes out in the cinema, and that was as an adult. It really tugged at the heartstrings there, and I think they did it on purpose. The people that kind of grew up with the first Toy Story, so aiming it around, kids, adults our age, so from sort of 22 to around 26 years old. That ending in Toy Story 3 just, God, it gets you. It really does. So, yeah, I'd say the original Toy Story certainly, is up there for me. Remember the Titans is... I was looking up films and I'd completely forgotten about this film, but that is one of my all-time favourite films. And first time I watched it was actually in high school in a PE lesson, when we were kind of learning about kind of the history of sport, and we were looking at that kind of racial divide and then the racial integration and stuff in sports. And Remember the Titans is just... I mean, even if you're not that into sport, the story behind it is just, it's just so spot on. Again, it's got an emotional side to it and everything, but the sporting side of it is good enough, but the story in it is just brilliant. So yeah, Remember the Titans is fantastic. Anchorman, for obvious reasons, I mean, it's just one of my kind of all-time favourite comedy movies. I know it's one of those that really, when you look at it, it's... I don't know, it is very silly comedy, and I can see why people kind of do look down on it, but for me it's just my kind of comedy and it's my kind of silly humour. So yeah, Anchorman is definitely up there again within that 20-year period. I have a lot more favourite ones. The Terminal with Tom Hanks, I mean, I love Tom Hanks anyway. He's probably my favourite actor really of all time. He's one I always seem to forget, but when I think of all the great films he's been in, he's fantastic. And The Terminal is... It's one of those films where if you were to explain it to someone, you think, well, that doesn't sound very good. And, it's a long film, and you would consider it's one where not a lot does happen. But for me, it is amazing. It's so well done, really, really well done. And again, it's one that does kind of pull your heartstrings a little bit and gets your emotions. And it's a rollercoaster ride of emotions, really. But it was so well done. And to make, a story like that, I mean, I think it is actually loosely based on a true story. But yeah, it's just to set a whole film inside an airport terminal, following a foreign guy who's trying to get out. I love it. It really is good. And then on the other side of things, sort of scary movies, I'd say the first Paranormal Activity movie for me, because it was just something so new and different. Not so much the other ones, really. I think that definitely went too far with it. But yeah, that first Paranormal Activity film, just for it being so different, and it really did scare the bejesus out of me. Also, Sinister, I think, again, that was the name of the film really is spot on. I mean, it is such a sinister film. Very, very dark, very, some deep, scary moments in it. But yeah, really, really enjoyed that. And Ethan Hawke was, I think he's a massively underrated actor, Ethan Hawke, and really came across well in that. And also The Conjuring. It could have been better. It could have been scary, but for me, it was spot on and just did the job. So yeah, for films over the last 20 years, those are just a group. I mean, like I say, I'm not the biggest film fan, and there's probably some that I've missed off. But then again, a lot of my more favourite movies are outside of that 20-year gap, but there we go. I gave quite a few anyway. So there we go, guys. That's the end of this week's question time. So thank you ever so much for those questions that you sent in there. Harry, James, Rated R, Legend Killer 10, Tom, and Russell. Russell. I think that's the second week running. I said Russell. I think maybe I am just wanting to turn Dutch. I really don't know. So, yeah, like I say, Tom, Steve, and Joey, I will be answering your questions next week, guys. But I will need some more questions sending in, as always. Keeping it nice and varied. Again, a really nice varied group of questions this week. So for next week, I've already got a sporting question and 2 other kind of random ones. So yeah, just send in any questions that you want. Do just try and check other questions that have already been answered. I know it's a bit difficult to keep up on it, but even if you do send in a question that I have already answered, like I say, I will send you a message back. Just pointing that out. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. If this is your first time visiting, then please do leave a like and a subscribe. That would be much appreciated. And if you can, maybe share it amongst your friends as well, that'd be great. Thank you as well very much for all the love and support I've had over this past week since passing 600 subs. I'm already up to 617, which has been a massive spike in subs recently. But yeah, really do appreciate it, guys. Absolutely love all your support at the moment. But yeah, until next time, guys, do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very soon.